So how do we combat near miss medication errors? So such in the case of Mr. M, how can we fix that? How can we utilize the tools that we have as nurses to prevent this issue? Well, one of the ways we can do it is to enforce the Plan, Do, Study, Act model of learning. So in the plan phase, who are we going to involve? Well, what are we going to do? We're going to develop a plan to combat near miss medication errors. And the parties that we're going to involve is unit managers, physicians, nursing staff, pharmacists, and hospital administrators. We want to invite all of these modalities to come together and figure out how we can fix this. And in the do phase, we're going to implement the plan for a trial period and measure the progress while assigning a task force to oversee the implementation. So a task force can educate other nurses, other units, different parts of the hospital in order to change this. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to use research case studies to help guide target outcomes in implementing new measures for safety in near miss medication errors. So there's several studies that we can come upon and gather information from and develop a model that we can measure. And in the act phase, we can, once the period of implementation and research are successful, it is time to implement the initiative for patient safety. So most of the time, the research group or the task force will come up with an idea. That idea will then be tested, or there'll be a trial run in the hospital to see if that works. Then we're going to take that research and measure it against the improvement or the decline of the situation. In this case, perhaps what we could do for Mr. M in that situation is to have a system of checks and balances that will allow both a nurse and doctor to check each other, or maybe two nurses to check each other once they get into the OR. So for instance, if a patient comes into the hospital for a procedure, what they can do is take vitals, assess the patient, do a head-to-toe assessment, do med reconciliation. Once that nurse is finished, we go into the OR, and then do a second med reconciliation so that we can go ahead and verify all the medicines that the patient has taken. And then the third one would be for the doctor to ask. There would have to be a way of measuring it and recording it through documentation. So perhaps that's something that the task force could do in a situation as the case scenario that we saw in this presentation.